Yellow. Welcome to Vice Grip Garage. That's my 1989 K 2500. In this episode, we're back on the old C10 here. Anyway, I'd like to fix on the old 69 GMC a little bit more. In this episode, we're gonna service on the old service truck over here. Hey, Rocky, the 69 Chevelle's back. Feller got invited to a car show, which isn't something that happens very often for me. And on top of that, they want to see this bike. So I'm gonna not take it easy the first couple laps, and then I'm really gonna feed her to coal.
Derek Bieri wasn't just another guy with a wrench and a camera. He was a symbol of what was missing in the modern YouTube car community: authenticity. Born on May 16, 1984, in Minot, North Dakota, Derek's roots were as real and rugged as the vehicles he would one day resurrect. He grew up on a working farm where fixing things wasn't a hobby, it was survival. Winters were brutal, breakdowns were common, and calling a mechanic was a luxury they couldn't afford. Instead, the lessons came from his father and grandfather, two men who didn't just teach him how to repair a truck, but how to think like one. In that quiet world of snow, engines, and dust-covered shop tools, Derek learned to decode the sounds, smells, and shakes of broken-down machines. It was there on cracked concrete floors under rusted pickup trucks that the soul of Vice Grip Garage was born. And when Derek finally shared that soul with the world, it wasn't with lights and camera crews. It was with an old iPhone, duct taped to a garage door, a stubborn car that hadn't run in decades, and a belief that real content didn't need to be polished, it just needed to be honest. But what started as a modest experiment soon turned into something much bigger than Derek ever imagined. Millions would eventually tune in to watch not just the cars, but the man behind them. And when that man started to disappear from his own creation, people noticed. When Vice Grip Garage launched on YouTube in 2017, it wasn't expected to change anything. In a sea of channels driven by jump cuts, over-the-top personalities, and corporate sponsorships, Derek's channel offered something radically simple: watch a man fix an old car. From start to finish, with nothing more than basic tools and the knowledge in his head. There were no flashy intros, no dramatic music, no staged meltdowns. Just a guy, some rust, and a challenge. And viewers ate it up. Whether it was a Monte Carlo buried in weeds or a Caprice classic forgotten in a barn, Derek made each car feel like a character in its own comeback story. The way he narrated the process, dry humor, casual storytelling, and real-time problem-solving made people feel like they were standing right beside him. It wasn't just educational, it was deeply personal. He didn't pretend to be perfect. In fact, he often made mistakes and owned up to them on camera. Sometimes parts didn't fit, sometimes tools broke, and sometimes the car just wouldn't start. But that rawness, that visible trial and error became the magic of Vice Grip Garage. By 2022, Derek's channel had exploded past 1 million subscribers and was drawing millions of views per month. His videos were often over 90 minutes long. It's breaking every so-called YouTube rule, but they worked because people trusted him. They didn't come for a performance, they came for a project. And somewhere along the way, Derek Bieri became a household name in the car restoration world, not because he shouted the loudest, but because he spoke the most truth. But as the channel grew, so did the pressure. Behind every 90-minute video was days of planning, filming, editing, and travel. And unlike many YouTube stars who hand off production to hired teams, Derek kept it all in the family. His wife Jessica became the unseen backbone of Vice Grip. Garage didn't appear often in videos, but her presence was felt everywhere, from managing logistics at car events to organizing travel schedules to even helping with post-production edits. Their 3 sons also grew up in the garage, learning not just how to turn a wrench, but how to think through a problem. His youngest, Bentley, even launched his own spin-off channel called Little Grip Garage, where he fixes mini bikes and go-karts, with guidance from his dad. But make no mistake, Vice Grip Garage wasn't just a hobby. It was a full-time operation powered entirely by family. No big crews, no production offices. It's just a garage, a camera, and a commitment to doing things their way. For years, the machine ran smoothly. Derek posted regularly. The cars kept coming. Fans met him at events across the country. But around 2023, that rhythm started to change. Videos became less frequent. Events were canceled or attended without notice. And longtime fans began asking the question that brought you here today. What's really going on with Derek Bieri? The shift wasn't abrupt. It crept in slowly, like rust under the paint. After 2022, Derek's time was no longer solely his own. In addition to YouTube, he had taken on a new venture: television. Motor Trend greenlit a new show starring Derek called Roadworthy Rescues, which premiered in September 2022. And unlike his YouTube content, which was spontaneous and self-produced, Roadworthy Rescues required a rigid filming schedule, travel across multiple states, and adherence to professional television standards. That meant Derek was now juggling to full-time media platforms. By 2024, the show had entered its third season, with over 24 episodes filmed in far-off locations. At the same time, he was still restoring multiple cars for Sick Week, participating in live auctions like Mecha Mindy, and trying to keep his YouTube uploads on track. It was an impossible pace for any one person, let alone a man with a family, a brand, and an uncompromising dedication to quality. In a live stream, Derek once admitted, "I don't want to turn the channel into a content factory. If I'm doing it just to have something to post every week, I'll lose myself." That quote became the unofficial explanation for his absence. It wasn't that Derek had given up. It was that he refused to let success change what made Vice Grip Garage special in the first place. And for that, most fans didn't just understand, they respected him even more. Still, the adjustment hasn't been easy for him or his viewers. For years, people relied on Vice Grip Garage not just for car content, but for the comfort of its routine. The familiar sound of tools, Derek's dry humor, the steady rhythm. Of teardown and rebuild, it was more than entertainment. It was a connection. And when that connection weakened, it left a void. But even during his quieter periods, Derek never completely disappeared. Updates would pop up on Instagram. Website posts would inform fans about upcoming events or sales. And once in a while, a new video would drop, usually longer, deeper, and more technical than ever before. These weren't filler uploads. They were crafted pieces of storytelling, often featuring special projects like the Panta Project or the 1972 Chevelle named Independence that became a symbol of his entire brand. That car, beaten, loud, imperfect, still managed to complete a 1,000-mile journey and run a 9.73-second quarter mile. Derek called it a metaphor for the American spirit, saying it's scratched, torn up, and not very pretty, but it doesn't give up. That's what matters. Really, that's what Vice Grip Garage has always stood for: resilience. Whether it's an old car on its last leg or a man trying to balance success with authenticity, the core message remains the same. Keep going, even if it's not perfect, especially when it's not perfect. So what really happened to Derek Bieri? The answer is both simpler and deeper than most imagined. He didn't burn out, he didn't sell out, and he certainly didn't quit. He simply evolved. When Vice Grip Garage started, it was a one-man show in a dusty garage. Today, it's a multi-platform brand with millions of followers, a hit TV show, event appearances, and merchandise. But behind all that growth is still the same Derek, the farm kid from North Dakota who believes in fixing things with your hands and your heart. The man who teaches his kids not just to build engines, but to build character. The creator who would rather delay a video than post something inauthentic. In a world obsessed with speed, algorithms, and metrics, Derek Bieri took the harder road, the one where you slow down, stay real, and remember why you started. And maybe that's why, even after all this time, people still watch. In every stubborn bolt, every sputtering engine, every roadside repair, they don't just see a car, they see themselves. And they see a man who reminds them that anything broken can be brought back to life, as long as you're willing to try. Derek Bieri wasn't just another guy with a wrench and a camera. He became a symbol of what was missing in today's car content world: authenticity. Born on May 16, 1984, in Minot, North Dakota, Derek grew up on a working farm, where fixing things wasn't a choice, it was survival. The brutal winters meant if something broke, you fixed it yourself, often with limited tools and no second chances. That hands-on education came not from textbooks, but from his father and grandfather, two men who taught Derek not only how to work with his hands, but how to listen to machines, understand their quirks, and speak their language. He learned to smell burnt oil, feel engine vibrations like a heartbeat, and diagnose problems with intuition earned through long, cold hours under rusted trucks. It was a life of grit, but it built a kind of mechanical fluency most people never gain. So, when Derek finally stepped in front of a camera, it wasn't to perform, it was to share. And he didn't need a studio or fancy lighting. Just an old iPhone taped to the garage door. A pile of forgotten steel. And a belief that real work speaks louder than anything scripted. When ViceGrip Garage launched on YouTube in 2017, it was raw and unpolished, and that's exactly why it worked. In a sea of content creators using clickbait thumbnails, high-end production, and fast-paced editing, Derek's videos felt like a throwback to a time when patience and skill mattered. Each upload was a long, winding journey, sometimes over 90 minutes following Derek as he brought dead cars back to life. From rusted Chevelles to forgotten Monte Carlos, he wasn't just fixing vehicles, he was reviving history. And what set Derek apart was his willingness to show the whole process. Mistakes included. Parts didn't always fit. Things went wrong. Sometimes, after hours of wrenching, the car still refused to start. And instead of cutting that out, he leaned into it, letting viewers see every challenge, every workaround, every small victory. His humor was dry, his tone steady, and his advice practical. No fluff, no gimmicks, just old-school problem-solving, filmed in real time. Between 2018 and 2022, the channel grew steadily, fueled not by flashy edits, but by trust. People related to Derek because he didn't pretend to be a celebrity or an expert, just a guy doing his best with what he had. And by mid-2022, ViceGrip Garage had earned over 1 million subscribers and nearly 800 million total views. A staggering achievement for content that broke every supposed rule of YouTube engagement. But while the channel kept growing, so did the weight on Derek's shoulders. Producing one long-form video per week, each running over 90 minutes, became a grind. And unlike many creators who hired crews to handle production, Derek kept things in the family. His wife Jessica handled logistics, editing, scheduling, and behind-the-scenes operations. Their 3 sons were raised in the garage, learning the value of doing things yourself. Not because it's easier, but because it's worth it. His youngest, Bentley, even launched his own channel, Little Grip Garage, working on go-karts and mini-bikes, all under Derek's gentle guidance. It was clear that ViceGrip Garage wasn't just a YouTube channel. It was a family operation powered by love, patience, and old-school work ethic. But even the tightest strung machines need maintenance, and by late 2023, fans began to notice something. Different videos became less frequent. Tan-greed appearances were canceled. Derek seemed to be pulling back. For a creator so devoted to consistency, it raised questions. Was he burning out? Was something wrong? The truth, it turns out, was far more interesting and a lot more admirable. In September 2022, Derek took on a new challenge, hosting the TV show Roadworthy Rescues on Motor Trend. It was a major leap, taking his YouTube sensibilities to national television. The show featured Derek traveling across states to revive long-dead vehicles, often with nothing but basic tools, determination, and a deep respect for the machines. The first season was a hit, leading to renewals, more filming, and a schedule that quickly became overwhelming. By 2024, Derek had filmed over 24 episodes across multiple states while still maintaining the YouTube channel, attending events, and raising a family. In a live stream, Derek admitted, "I don't want to turn the channel into a content factory. If I'm doing it just to have something to post every week, I'll lose myself." That one sentence explained everything he hadn't given up on. YouTube, he was protecting what made it meaningful. Derek refused to let success dilute his original message. Instead, he began uploading fewer videos, but each one was more focused, more technically detailed, and more personal. Rather than chase views, he chose to stay true to the core, the machines, the process, and the people who truly cared. Starting in late 2023, Derek made a conscious decision to reduce uploads to just 2 or 3 high-quality videos per month. These weren't just restorations, they were stories. Whether it was restoring a rare Italian Panta left untouched for 33 years, or road tripping through freezing states in an El-Swap Nova, Derek's focus had shifted from volume to depth. Off-camera, he also began working on a new type of project, building his first purpose-built drag-and-drive car, a departure from his usual junkyard revivals. The reason was simple: safety. With his wife and children joining him at events spanning hundreds of miles, Derek wanted a machine designed, from the ground up, to protect them. "I'm committed enough to drag and drive to know I need a car designed right from the beginning," he said at Sick Week 2024. Meanwhile, his collaborations grew more meaningful. He filmed high-performance trials with Finnegan, Tony Angelo, and John Matson, not for mass appeal, but for the die-hard gearheads who'd been there from the start. By stepping back, Derek became more than a YouTuber. His absence made his presence more powerful. In time, he wasn't just fixing cars. He was becoming an icon, a face of the DIY restoration culture whose voice carried beyond the screen. What's remarkable about Derek Bieri's rise is not how big it got, but how grounded it stayed. While other creators leaned into drama, controversy, or spectacle, Derek quietly built a legacy rooted in consistency and humility. By 2025, his public image remained spotless. No scandals, no drama, just respect. One of the rare moments that captured public attention happened in October 2024. When he was spotted standing in line at Walt Disney World with his family, fans snapped a photo and posted it on Reddit with the caption, "Very friendly. Didn't refuse anyone asking for a photo." It was a small moment, but it spoke volumes. Fame hadn't changed him. Off camera, Derek's brand had expanded well beyond YouTube. Vice Grip Garage now includes a line of OEM parts and tools, a full merchandise store, shout-out videos on Cameo, and a growing catalog of restored vehicles auctioned at events like make 'em not for maximum profit, but to ensure the cars went to people who'd keep them alive. Most of the Cameo clips are recorded mid-project, in the same garage where it all started. Delivered in Derek's familiar.com voice. No flash, no staging, just Derek talking directly to fans, like always. His credibility has made him a sought-after collaborator at major events like Sick Week and Rocky Mountain Race Week, where brands like Motion Raceworks, Holly, and Bear Brakes don't just sponsor him, they seek his input. When Motion Raceworks handed Derek the keys to their El Toro Mustang for an entire event in 2023, it wasn't just promotion. It was a sign of trust rarely seen in the drag and drive world. In 2025, Derek was invited as a guest judge and speaker at events like C10s in the city, where he didn't just sign autographs, he led technical workshops for aspiring builders. And many of them heard his message for the first time, that restoration doesn't have to be expensive or elite, that you can build something beautiful on a budget as long as you're willing to learn. It's the same philosophy that built Vice Grip Garage in the first place. One wrench, one story, one honest voice. And as his channel enters its next phase, that voice is more important than ever. So what really happened to Derek Bieri? Nothing dramatic, nothing scandalous. He just decided to protect the very thing that made him special. Authenticity. In a world obsessed with going faster, posting more, and chasing the next viral hit, Derek slowed down. He focused on quality, on family, on staying connected to the people who mattered most, his viewers. Whether you've been watching since the first iPhone video, or just discovered him through roadworthy rescues, the story is the same. A man with real skills, real values, and real love for what he does. If you've ever turned a wrench because of his videos, fixed your own car for the first time, or just found peace in the sound of an engine roaring back to life, then you already understand what makes Vice Grip Garage more than just a channel. It's a reminder that you don't need a perfect setup to start. You just need heart, patience, and the willingness to try. So if Derek Bieri inspired you, now's the time to act. Share this video with someone who needs a reason to begin. Leave a comment about your first project or the moment that made you fall in love with this channel. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next chapter is just beginning, and it's still being written one bolt, one story, and 1 mile at a time.